it's already over. I mean, when I woke up this morning, I thought, okay, well, they're going to just keep milking this as this, huge scandal. It's going to like take down Hegseth and Mike Waltz and so many others. And I expected them to keep the pressure on, but I was kind of surprised. Like it's almost like it's disappeared completely. There's still a few remnants. I'm going to cover that. But I mean, even just going over the leftist Twitter and some of their publications, I really didn't see them continuing to try to push for, something to happen. Now, this war plans leak signals scandal could have been bad, assuming, you had like a spy in the room and you leaked plans and, American military got, caught up and, ambushed. This could have been bad. It's either a mistake or it was intentional. It's looking like there was probably an inside job to some degree. We'll get into that. But I think it's already kind of lost its steam already. It wasn't the scandal they wanted it to be. So even The Atlantic, they backtracked on their war plans leak story after the controversy. It was a little sloppy, absolutely, with Jeffrey Goldberg, a terrible, biased journalist, neocon who hates Donald Trump, somehow ended up in this high-level Signal group chat and then leaked out the information, claimed it was war plans, but they really lacked a lot of the specifics. Definitely wasn't a good thing. It wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been. Like if we were, at war with a formidable adversary and these things leaked out to the wrong people, this could have been pretty devastating. Fortunately, that did not happen. Hopefully everybody learns their lesson, but they've still got to do at least an internal investigation to find out exactly how this happened. And things are still not adding up here. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt saying, The Atlantic has conceded these were not war plans. It's another hoax amplified, a mountain out of a molehill, written by a Trump hater who is well-known for his sensationalist spin. He's pushed several hoaxes before. The Suckers and Losers, and also helped get us into war over the phony WMDs in Iraq and Saddam, which does make me suspicious with some of the people here involved. I don't know the Mike Waltz guy that well, but he did work. He was an advisor to a lot of the neocons I despise, like Cheney and Rumsfeld. So I'm already skeptical. And his deputy, his assistant, was kind of being exposed the other day. Laura Loomer thought she had a big scoop, and maybe she does. There could be some internal sabotage happening, if they want to continue that. But it looks like it's kind of petered out a bit with Pete Hegseth saying these are some really shitty war plans with the Atlantic bombshell after the Signal chats were released, because he says they're not really war plans because there's no names, no targets, no locations, no units, no routes, no sources, no methods, no classified information. And people are also concerned that they're using Signal. But Signal is, they do consider it kind of a gold standard for security. And as long as they're not, it's not a government channel, if they're not using classified information, then it shouldn't be a problem. It's just an easy to use app. Plus the Trump administration's already got to be on high alert from all the leaks that they had in the previous administration. So you start using the official government channels, which you want to do because you want to trust the elements of your own government. But I mean, they can't trust the CIA or the FBI or the NSA. I mean, are you going to get your next Alexander Vindman or Eric Ciaramella, some whistleblowers on the inside trying to promote some big scandal because they were on a chat? It'll be this replay of this, but this chat still got infiltrated. And of course, with Signal, they got to keep public records somewhere. I don't know if these messages disappear or not. There's definitely some controversy. That's another angle of it. Try to be intellectually honest about it. Fortunately, it didn't get. This wasn't a big scandal but it could have been. Babylon B did a great job pointing this out. Yeah, Hegseth kicking himself for not just getting 13 soldiers killed and giving $80 billion in weapons to terrorists. Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous when they're trying to manufacture a giant scandal out of this. Nobody died. There wasn't some sort of, counteroffensive ambush run by the Houthis because they got wind of this leaked signal conversation. And yet when you look at, all the scandals of the past, whether that's the WMDs I just mentioned that didn't exist, or whether that's the Afghanistan withdrawal where, yes, 13 soldiers were killed and all kinds of equipment was left over for the terrorists to take, for the Taliban and whoever they sold things to. Or is it Benghazi? Is it Hillary and her private home server? Or using BleachBit to delete the evidence? Smashing phones with hammers? There's a lot of major scandals out there. But comparatively speaking, this was not one of them. Yeah, was Mike Waltz a source for Jeffrey Goldberg while serving on the House Intel Committee? Yeah, there's something about him I really don't trust. Well, they see he's a good man. He's a Green Beret, served his country. I don't know if he's been in office for like 27 years. But he's still a neocon. He's a little too cozy with the wrong people. And it's also been exposed that he's been around Goldberg a few times before. And then how did Goldberg's number get on his phone? How did he possibly add him to this group chat? It's not really helping his case much. And then we can bring up the top deputy Alex Wong. Laura Loomer was saying there's a possibility that people in his family are connected to the CCP. So he could be a Chinese spy in there. It's also been, he used to be a big staffer for Tom Cotton, who's also kind of a shady neocon, Warhawk. And perhaps that was, he was personally recommended by Senator Cotton, perhaps to infiltrate the Trump organization. I don't know. We're making speculations. We're trying to connect the dots. But this interview here that Michael Waltz did on the Laura Ingraham show did not assuage my concerns either. Let's check this one out.
But I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists. And I know him in the sense that he hates the president, but I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone. And we're going to figure out how this happened.
So you don't know what staffer is responsible for this right now?
Well, look, a staffer wasn't responsible, and look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
But how did the number? I mean, I don't mean to be pedantic here, but how did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name, and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right? You got somebody else's number on someone else's contact. So of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now, whether he did it...
I'm not buying that BS. You have a very select group of people that you were putting into this chat, including the highest level people outside of the president. And then this hack from the Atlantic gets in there? That's incompetent or intentional. Let's keep rolling.
Deliberately, or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
So your staffer did not put his contact information. But how did it end up in your phone?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, but that's a pretty big problem.
That's what we've got the best technical minds, right?
That's disturbing.
And that's where, I mean, I'm sure everybody out there has had a contact where it was said one person and then a different phone number.
But you've never talked to him before.
I can't relate to that. But again, I'm not like, a high-level journalist, say like at Fox or Laura or so many others that might have, a far bigger group of names in their phone than I would. But I'm not buying that. That just doesn't seem to add up to me, but let's keep rolling.
Or so how's the number on your phone? I mean, I'm not an expert in any of this, but it's just curious. How's the number on your phone?
Well, if you have somebody else's contact and then somehow it gets
someone
sucked
sent
in,
you that
it gets
contact.
sucked in.
Was there someone else supposed to be on the chat that wasn't on the chat that you thought was?
So
on
the person that I thought was on there was never on there. It was this
Who
guy.
was that? What person?
Well, I'm not. Look, okay. Laura, I take responsibility. I built the group.
This was a pretty big mistake, unless it was intentional. And somebody have said, well, let's see here. And he made this into a scandal when there didn't really need to be one, just the way that he fumbled this, which Glenn Greenwald points out. Mike Waltz had just admitted the truth from the start that he had Goldberg's contacts saved in his phone and accidentally put him in the War Plan group. Would have been a one-day story. Instead, it became like a 3-day story. I didn't think there was much to it, but it's really started to balloon yesterday, and I did think it was going to continue to be the headline. I asked Grok about it. I had an interesting conversation trying to work the CCP spy angle, and with Tom Cotton, perhaps trying to sneak in a saboteur. That was a big problem in the first Trump administration. It was the neocons. They were leaking things. They were working against him from the inside. And Trump was surrounded by, vipers. So you got to be careful about that. I'm also, thinking that if they could have, maybe he'll step down. I don't know. That's kind of one of the things that feel like, well, even though it didn't really turn into a full-blown scandal, there should be an investigation. And they got to maybe take a closer look at Wong, and they got to take a closer look at Waltz here. And maybe one or both of them has to step down. But maybe somebody should be held accountable, unlike some of the other major scandals where nobody did. So the Atlantic overplayed their hand to oust Hegseth. Yeah, might be able to take down Waltz, but it was a could have been. It was a could have been, but not a real scandal.